Thanks to the destructive policies of Mike Bonin and Eric Garcetti, Venice Beach has degraded into an endless row of tents, RVs, cardboard houses, heroin needles, garbage, rats, and exploding crime rates. Family-owned businesses have been forced to close, property values have plummeted, and assaults and theft are rampant. Mike Bonin has instructed LAPD to stop enforcing against overnight loitering and sleeping in Venice and its beaches. Why would he do this? Our beaches should be a safe place for anyone to enjoy. We now can all see the disastrous results of Mike Bonin's policies and actions. Once a beautiful and cherished tourist attraction and a beach community where local families enjoyed their weekends, Venice has been destroyed on their watch. If Mike Bonin allows people to sleep on our beaches, isn't he encouraging people to come here? People come here from other states because in Venice, they are allowed to live on the beach, do drugs, and avoid the primary responsibilities of an electric bill. Tom Williams has worked his whole life to realize his dream of buying a house in Venice for his family, his wife and their 5-year-old son and their 1-year-old daughter. For the last 9 months, an RV has been parked across the street from Tom's family house, and unhoused people live along his sidewalk. The RV owner takes apart stolen bikes and motorcycles for sale on the black market. He uses a loud hammer and creates a lot of draining, constant, repetitive noise.
He has a metal stall. I keep hearing the
He is urinating in a jar next to his truck and frequently defecates in the street. The RV owner frequently has friends join him, and they do drugs on the sidewalk. This is all taking place right outside LAUSD's elementary school and playground, Westminster. The RV has no registration and has hundreds of parking tickets, and it is parked in a loading zone in front of the school. But the parking enforcement is only towing the cars around the RV. Their hands are tied, as they are not allowed to tow him because he is unhoused and sleeping in the vehicle.
You must be fucking dumb! I'm 80% Indian! We have lost enough! Native! I'm native! I belong to the Royal British family! You just broke the law! Sorry, children!
The situation has become unbearable for Tom's family. They called the police on over 30 occasions, and there is a multitude of crimes being committed in plain sight. The police are frustrated. Their hands are tied in this political climate because the person is homeless.
Is there anything that can be done to sort of clean up the homeless?
Calling the mayor's office and flooding his calls. That's the only way that we're going to get any help. Sometimes our hands are tied, you know?
I've called the police at least 30 times, and they're always very generous with me, and I know they have better things to do than come and listen to noise violations, but they're always very generous with us. And I understand their plight, because the last set of police officers that came by told me that Mike Bonin has created such an environment that these homeless people are actually a protected class. How are they more protected than my 18-month-old daughter and my 5-year-old son? How do they get more protection than my children's right to get a good night's sleep or walk down the street to get a popsicle?
The quality of life in Venice right now is at its all-time low. It is terrifying for me to walk out after dark anymore. And as a single woman in this neighborhood, I've felt safe for the last 20 years that I've lived here. And the last 6 months have been miserable.
This affects everybody. I mean, this is a safety issue for the people that are living in Venice, for the homeless people. They need help. Countless emails were sent to the mayor, to politicians, text messages, and nothing's happening. Action has to be taken.
For a week, the I-Team emailed Bonin's office almost every day asking for an interview, reminding him we're getting a lot of emails and calls from our viewers about the homelessness crisis. Councilmember Bonin is not available for this interview.
The housed at Main Street Park in Tom's neighborhood became more and more aggressive. They were especially harassed at her neighbor, Dr. Courtney Gillenwater, who had an 8-month-old husky mix Togo. that would bark on them. One night, they set her house on fire. The howling on this security footage is her dog trying to get out. The fire killed her dog, and the house was a total loss.
A home was destroyed and a dog is dead after a fire in Venice. Well, now neighbors are wondering if a nearby homeless encampment is to blame.
Her dog died. She lost her home and she lost everything.
A beloved family dog killed in a house fire was remembered last night at a candlelight service in Santa Monica. Togo was a rescue dog that had recently been trained as a service animal. On April 21st, he was killed in a house fire.
If someone is an LA resident and is unhoused, we must help them. But if they came from another state to camp on the beach in Venice, is it our responsibility to take care of them?
I'm from Seattle.
Where you're from originally? Sweden. Where are you from?
I'm from Fort Worth, Texas.
From Brooklyn, New York. From Dallas. From Baltimore, Maryland. From Seattle. From Florida.
I'm from Poway, California.
What brought you?
The people.
And you, what brought you?
The adventure.
Shouldn't our government focus on resources on the homeless, mentally ill, and people truly down on their luck from Los Angeles first?
It gets very easy to get acclimated to living out here. I mean, I hate to say this because I don't want it to change anything, but they make it really easy for people to be homeless. They bring them a shower, people bring food, socks, water, tents, I mean, you know, clothes, I mean, nice stuff. You know, where I'm from, they don't do that. You know, if you're homeless, I mean, usually you're not. You're staying with such and such's best friend's husband's cousin or something. Here, you can pitch a tent and everybody brings everything, you know. So it's like the only thing that people have to, because a lot of it's mental health and substance use, the only thing they have to worry about is where they're going to get their next this, that, and the other. I was talking to this agency one time that handed out stuff, and I was like, how come y'all don't give people money? She was like, well, and I was like, is it the reason because you think they're going to go spend it on drugs or alcohol? But they were like, well, maybe, yeah. I was like, well, how do you know that that's not what's going to help that person that day? And then on top of that, if you're giving them exactly what they need, maybe they'll be more responsible and accountable for what they have instead of like 15 pairs of socks that day.
Are all the programs for the homeless people in Venice encouraging people to come to Venice and enabling drug use, crime, and vagrancy? Is it fair that Venice taxpayers are subjected to a program that hurts their community and are then forced to foot the bill? The programs have become a big business for the entities that have the contracts to provide these services. We wanted to know how much money was spent on Venice homeless programs and how they are being used. So we reached out to everyone at Los Angeles City Council and Mayor Garcetti, but we were stonewalled. Shouldn't we demand complete transparency on who is making money on the homeless? Michael Barnin and Eric Garcetti built an $8 million bridge housing project in Venice. They told the people in Venice that it would make things safer and decrease homelessness in the area. The opposite happened. It increased homelessness, and instead of making the neighborhood safer, it revealed a strong correlation between vagrancy and violence, including 3 murders near the bridge housing project since December.
Like flowers in spring, bridge housing and permanent supportive housing are beginning to pop up around the city in every neighborhood.
Robberies are up 177%. Assaults with a deadly weapon are up 116%. And aggravated assaults are up 162%.
Mike Bonin wants to create even more beachfront property for the unhoused. He has proposed a motion that the unhoused be temporarily housed at sites on county-owned beaches, including Duckweiler Beach in Playa del Rey, Fisherman's Village in Marina del Rey, and Will Rogers Beach in Pacific Palisades.
What does help look like to you?
Instead of taking all that money that we spend on warfare and generating the military funding, let's actually take that and make more peace grants, you know, put up more shelters, more homeless housing.
People will remain homeless if they want to remain homeless. They won't live in those places they don't want to. They're not to their standards. I haven't been out here for that long, but I'm pretty comfortable and content with where I'm at. And I think a lot of people are comfortable and content with where they're at. It's based on how you how you attack whatever you want to attack and get where you want to get.
And what about what he said, though? Some people don't want to be homeless and they want a way out. Should the government help people?
I guess.
I feel like the help shouldn't be forced, but it should be available.
I like things the way they are.
What about the neighbors around here who are kind of like upset with all the tents and stuff like that?
I mean, they have every right to be upset with the tents, but they don't have a right to be upset with the homeless people. They should be upset with the government.
What are other cities doing to provide shelter for the homeless? San Clemente had similar issues to Venice. In San Clemente,
frustration boiled over tonight as hundreds packed the San Clemente City Council meeting to protest the exploding homeless encampment in North Beach. Tonight, residents urged the City Council to move the encampment from the popular surf spot, North Beach, to a city yard with tents, a fence, and toilets.
We should do the minimum necessary to create a temporary shelter that doesn't last forever.
When we have the shelter, we give the police the power to arrest the people.
they provided a small parcel of city property in an industrial area. They then issued an emergency declaration. This required all camping to occur at that site and with reasonable requirements. People experiencing homelessness and their advocacy group sued San Clemente. The judge determined that San Clemente's conduct complied with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, Martin versus the City of Boyce decision, and dismissed the lawsuit.